Thanks, Corinne, for the introduction. I'm so thrilled to be here today to introduce an incredible lineup of speakers and to give you a little bit of background about some of the work we've been doing just to introduce and frame this. And as Corinne said, this is really a chance to discuss different strategies and tools around how do we help change hearts and minds. And so we've titled this panel, Seeing is Believing. For those of you who don't know, I think most of you probably know all the incredible guides that come out of NACTO. And about 3 years ago, Jeanette Sadat-Khan launched the Global Designing Cities initiative to take a lot of those lessons to the international frame, and so we were producing the Global Street Design Guide, working with a network of professionals from around the world. So we had over 40 countries and 70 cities to really look at how we can ask what is possible in terms of transforming how we think about our streets and to begin that love affair with the street that Corinne was just mentioning. And for us, behind the premise was to really take the very outdated hierarchical pyramid of how we've been thinking about our streets, putting the car first, and to invert that, and to put pedestrians as our top priority, and in particular to focus on our most vulnerable users, our children, our people with disabilities, and our elderly folk. And we were thrilled earlier this year to have Mike Bloomberg announce that we had this actually as a free resource, so we still have it for sale outside with Island Press, but now we can really increase accessibility around the world. We've also emulated the very successful process of the endorsement of the Urban Street Design Guide, and we're thrilled to say we have over 35 cities and 20 organizations. So we produced the guidance, but now a lot of my team's work, we're very honored to be working in 5 different cities, giving technical assistance around the world, and in many different ways of trying to help people to see, to believe, to make the change. So we do work in policy and design guidance, we do a lot of work on capacity building and trainings, and interim interventions and collecting metrics. But it really is the one today that I wanted to talk about is the interim interventions, because this is where we've been able to take lessons from cities like New York, from Buenos Aires in Argentina, and right here in Chicago, where we can take not a lot more than a bit of paint and some really passionate people to come together and to really show how we can transform our streets and increase the use and the uses and all the different activities that we can have there. And I wanted to show this one image because in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, we took a bunch of people out to just transform it, to try this, right, to help them see a new possibility. And we just did it in chalk for a day. And so we did this, and Mr. Fakade at the time, he was the chief engineer, and he came up to us, and we just finished the chalk, and he said, "Skye, you've taken space away from the car." I said, "That's right, Mr. Fakade, we have." And he said, "Well, they need that space." I said, "Well, actually, they don't. 96% of your population are transit riders or pedestrians. There's giant 50-meter crossings. And let's see, let's watch." And we watched the bus turn and the truck turn. And he saw that it worked. And we showed that it was safer for people and children. And he was silent for about 5 minutes, and then he came back and tapped me on the shoulder, and he said, "Well, why is this not permanent?" We said, "Well, that's exactly what we're trying to do." So we went back 6 months later and actually transformed that with the next round of paint to make it an interim rather than just a one-day pop-up. And the final very quick example I wanted to show was one that we worked on just about a month ago with our partners from Fortaleza, some of which are in the room today, where we took the heart of a neighborhood that was really just about parked cars and movement and transformed that space. And in 72 hours, with many people working together, we were able to take spaces like this and transform them and show them a new possibility of their streets, where they could now cross streets safely and bring their families together. And what was incredible, actually, was we were out there painting and did some numbers for the kids, and the kids were so desperate to play. You can see the paint's not even dry, and they're still leaping, right? The cones are there on it. And so the stories that came out of it almost overnight were incredible. We put up posters so that people could see and believe what's possible and vote with these stickers and ask and to have this permanent. So it's a very exciting project, and I think, to see the look of this young child really helps us all kind of believe in these types of projects. And I want to close by just showing this image of this child, because while we were painting, this kid was running from one side of the street to the other, and he was ecstatic that he could run around, and we'd closed it off for cars. We said, you know what, tomorrow, you're actually going to be able to run from here to there with no cars available. And this was his reaction. I'll see if it works. These guys at the back. I don't know if you guys can hit play or not. So it was an incredible experience and a very powerful time.